Dr. Ryan. That completes the first round. We now move on to the second round, and so that you know where you are on the list, Deputy Pringle, Butler, Lahart, Healy, Deputy Brady, substitute for Deputy O'Brien, Deputy Jonathan O'Brien, Deputy Kit O'Connell, Deputy Martin Hayden. Deputy Pringle, you have 5 minutes.
Thank you, Lashkan Corda. The Minister, in his statement earlier on and opening the debate this evening, said that we should remind ourselves of the process by which the committee reached this point. And I think that's a good place to start, as we should remind ourselves of that. Because last Thursday, the committee had a final draft report and received legal opinion on it, which actually gave it the green light. And in legal opinions, particularly in relation to Section 4, the barrister said that reference to incentive and penalties will assist in attempting to persuade the Commission that the purpose and intent of Article 9 has been complied with. However, as I have advised previously, it would be a matter for the drafters of the legislation and the Legislature to ensure that any laws passed by Dáil Éireann are in compliance with the directive. And lo and behold, on the exact same document, this Tuesday, he comes in with a completely different legal opinion in relation to it, recommending the insertion of 3 new paragraphs and totally changing the whole emphasis of the report. And in relation to metering, last Thursday, he said, whilst there have been some changes made to this section, they do not alter the advices previously furnished. Lo and behold, on Tuesday, he comes back in saying that paragraph 7.5 has been substantially changed, and the changes, in my view, cause difficulty. How did he arrive at that point on the exact same document? 2 separate legal advices, and as he told us himself at the committee, the only difference was that he got a letter from Fine Gael, and that was the only difference between Thursday and Tuesday. And it's obvious what happened. He was got to. The advice was changed to facilitate, and it was changed to give everything that the Minister wanted, and changed to give everything that the Commission wants as well. And that is what has arrived at, and that's why we ended up having, I think it was 12 or 13 votes yesterday at the committee, where to try and get back to the report that the Thursday before was legally sound, that all of a sudden wasn't legally sound by the same legal advisor. And the difference is, over the weekend, is that Fianna Fáil marched up the hill and huffed and puffed, and Minister Coveney faced them down, and it's now Coveney 2, Cowan 0. Because Coveney faced them down, and the Fianna Fáil back down and climbed back down the hill again and came in and voted against everything that they had voted in favour of the week before in the draft report. A draft report that, in the legal advice of the committee, was legally sound. And that's what happened. And I think it's interesting in the Minister's contribution from earlier as well, where basically the Minister is merely now a messenger for the Commission. And the report reflects what the Commission said that they wanted. And it's interesting also as well, I think we'll have to look at this very closely when the legislation comes through, but I think the legislation will actually just push it all over to SARE, and SARE will do the dirty work on behalf of it. And the Commission have said that the charge for excessive or wasteful use of water should be dissuasive. Now, that's more than just a charge for water. That's a dissuasive level to penalise people who end up in a situation where they have excessive use of water, according to the Commission. And the completion of metering will be instrumental in this effect. Now, the metering programme will take a bit longer, because metering on new builds by 2030, you'll have an additional 300,000 metres installed across the country, which leaves that back door there available to you to reintroduce charges again, and that's the back door that we will all fight against and oppose. And Fianna Fáil have said that they have ended the failed water charges regime. They may have ended the previous failed water charges regime, but they're introducing a new failed water charges regime. And Fianna Fáil have made much of the fact that the 133 litres per person per day is included in the report, but it's actually significantly weaker than it was in the report that we had last Thursday. Because Section 4.4 actually says that the committee recommends that SARE should determine average consumption level, setting the threshold of 1.7 times the average household use, which Fine Gael pursued religiously last Thursday as being 127 cubic metres per year. And then it goes on to say that the legislation should also provide for appropriate allowances for extraordinary circumstances such as medical conditions and above the average household size that falls beyond the threshold allowance, and taking into consideration, only into consideration, that the average usage per person is 133 litres per person per day. So that is significantly weaker than it was in the report last Thursday. And interestingly, Fianna Fáil withdrew their own amendment to allow Noel Greenishes to go forward. Maybe that's to give them a bit of cover when it blows up in their faces in relation to this. And I would just like to conclude, Chairman, just by saying to the members here who spoke in favour of the group water schemes, I think you should read paragraph section 6.2 of the report in relation to group water schemes, and thank the Right to Water TDs for actually insisting that that goes in there into that report.
Mary Butler, Craig Bumwich.